Welcome to Blue by 90, your Michigan football podcast. We are three dudes who talk maize and blue. I'm Kalen, joined by Nate and Jack.
Hey,
and this week, we had a bye week, or as Jim Harbaugh calls it, improvement week. Mm-hmm. We also had a lot of really great football games outside of Michigan football this weekend, guys. I mean, we had Minnesota over Penn State.
Go Gophers.
We had LSU over Alabama.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, we had Illinois over MSU.
That was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Go Brandon Peters.
Yeah,
This was one of the best college football weekends, and I was actually happy that of the season. Yeah. It was actually kind of nice. Michigan had the bye week, and I just got to watch all the games and just really take it all in, and not think about my team and just look at everybody else and start comparing the field. And
just have fun watching football.
Yeah.
Again. Not just yanking my hair out watching Michigan. Mm-hmm. But yeah. No.
So you want to start first? Which game do you want to start first with? I think
let's start with the noon game.
The noon game?
Minnesota, Penn State.
Yeah, I thought Minnesota was honestly pretty good.
Yeah, before we when I saw this game on schedule, I was just like, I don't even care. Penn State's gonna walk all over them. And then Minnesota started going undefeated, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh shit, this is going somewhere here, right? And then they showed up to play the game. I was like, dude, PJ Fleck has this program rolling. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
I mean, definitely. PJ Fleck, I think he's got Minnesota going in the right direction. I think, I also think Penn State's overrated. I was kind of talking, I don't know if I said anything about this on the podcast before, but I was talking to a couple guys at work. And, I mean, you look at if Michigan could have played them the way they did in the second half of that entire game, they would have won by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And 100%. I think we were talking about the Penn State-Ohio State game. Ohio State's going to blow them out.
Yeah.
I just think Penn State was, I mean, I can't believe they had them ranked number 4
That's
in the college football playoff.
That's ridiculous.
But, go Gophers. Good to see them, win. And Penn State, they might finish up 10-2. I don't know who else they're playing other than Ohio State. They're up to Indiana, right?
They might play Indiana, which is also another little
that could be another
team.
one that, But it also could be something where they're more focused on Indiana now because it's not such a huge matchup against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Or I guess it would be because if they have one loss, they'd have to beat Ohio State to go to the Big Ten championship. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
But, I think Penn State's going to get rolled.
But, yeah, that Minnesota team just looked fast out there. They were quick. They were running some interesting plays. I was kind of just sitting there watching and going wow, why are we not talking about this team at all? Mm-hmm. I know why.
I mean, they'll be a top 10 team, I think, after this week.
You think have to be.
They should. They're undefeated. They
had somebody who they had ranked in the top 4.
I think they were 17 though. They'll have to move up 7 spots.
Well, yeah, but I mean, undefeated team, and they have a real game that they won. So I mean, they have to put them in there. Because now I feel like the committee can't just be oh yeah, well,
I agree with you.
We didn't put Penn State where they should have been, so Minnesota's going to still be number 17. They're going to be top 10. They have to be.
I agree.
I'm shocked if they are.
Okay, yeah. You sold me. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
I thought that Penn State team looked like their entire offense was based on just a random big play.
It seemed like kind of what I had said when Michigan played them. KJ Hamler was that piece that won them the game. And I didn't really feel like they were some stellar team or had some great defense. And they gave up some big plays to Michigan. And then they did the same thing with Minnesota. They gave up a lot of big plays to them. Mm-hmm. Their quarterback did a really great job. He was 18 for 20, 339 yards, and 3 TDs.
Whoa. Yeah, that's crazy.
It was pretty crazy. They had a lot of big plays that they let up. And then on Sean Clifford's performance was pretty bad. He had 3 picks, and he just seemed to throw the ball on those deep balls was just too short. It kind of really sunk the ship for them. You can't win the game when you have 3 turnovers. Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Pretty sorry. Hey, but you know what? Row the boat. I'm a believer now.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of PJ Fleck. I don't like the guy. He just seems kind of like a cocky douche to me, but that's my opinion.
According to The Spun, he's going to be coaching Michigan, right?
No, that's not going to happen. No.
I think it'll be harder for him to have, I feel like where a lot of his success comes from is because he goes to, these not as big schools, like Western, D1 programs, like Western Minnesota, and he gets these guys to buy in and, really gets him motivated. Where I think if he goes to like, some people are saying like Florida State, like I don't know if he'd be able to control those guys, a lot of egos on those big school teams where I think like Minnesota, they probably don't run into that issue. But again, I could be totally wrong. He could be great at any program, but I don't know.
I think there's a difference of taking players or like teams that have bad players to good instead of and compared to coaches that take good players to being great, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy to take these guys who are like 3 stars, get them to like actually focus, pay attention, care about the X's and O's, teach them the fundamentals in more like of a focused manner. That's easier to get a team to go from 3 wins to like 8 wins, right? It's more difficult to get a team to go from 10 wins to 12 wins. That's
there's no margin for error there.
There's no margin for error, right? So I don't know. Maybe PJ Fleck could be one of those coaches in the future, but I'm kind of with you, Jack. I think it's kind of what
that's
you're
just what I kind of get.
about.
He's he's a very excited guy, and he brings a lot of energy and emotion. It's just will that work in a big program?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you got a shot somewhere down the line here.
Oh yeah,
but
I think if he didn't sign that extension, there's a lot of talk about him going to Sparty. Well, that's also a similar program where D'Antonio gets these 3-star guys, kind of whatever, and then they make runs. So
yeah, well, that's a good, interesting point you guys are making. I like that. That's probably true. But yeah, they play Iowa next week. That could be an interesting matchup for them.
Yeah, they've got some tough games, right? Iowa, Wisconsin, 2 games left. Or who else? Yeah, let's have one more.
Northwestern.
Yeah.
And Northwestern's sorry.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, Minnesota, we'll see where they go. What else?
That's pretty much all I had from the game. Honestly, it was pretty interesting towards the end because Penn State almost had a chance to win, but then it was just they just farted and just the game was that's kind of what they played the whole game. So it felt like Minnesota seemed pretty dominant the entire time.
The environment seemed to be rocking there too. I was kind of like, oh wow,
yeah.
Minnesota, what?
It looked like a fun environment. Honestly, if I was in Minnesota, I would have gone to the game for sure. I don't know. I don't really
mess with Minnesota like that. Yeah. No, Penn State's got to play IU and then Ohio State back to back after that loss. That could be kind of tough for them. Mm-hmm. So something to think about for all you Penn State fans. But yeah, otherwise, the real star of the show yesterday was LSU. Man, that is a championship caliber team. I'll say.
I can't wait to see them in the playoffs.
Oh man,
roll time. What?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody, get your Coach O impressions ready.
What?
Go Tigers! There's a great day for State of Louisiana.
Yeah.
I feel like Bobby Boucher or something's gonna run out of the stadium.
Oh
yeah. Oh man, no, but that LSU team and even that Bama team, they both looked really good. Jalen Waddle had that return on punt return, right? So, you just had to see the game because it was just, phenomenal. Right?
Yeah, it was the most exciting game of the year. I guess I'll talk Bama a little bit first. I was really impressed by Tua for having the ankle injury because you could tell, towards the end of the game, he was limping.
Yeah.
He was not himself at the start of the game. It took him a little bit of time to get rolling.
He had that fumble in the first possession.
He had a fumble, which now you look back on it and go, if they would have scored that touchdown, those points were pretty valuable, especially going down the stretch. Najee Harris had a pretty big day, especially in the second half. He really came on, 146 yards. Honestly, from me watching the game, I don't think the Crimson Tide ran the ball at all the first half. Their offense looked like garbage. Second half, they really started going. So I feel like he got 146 yards pretty much in the second half, which is pretty insane to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Alabama, Najee Harris was a stud. Tua, 418 yards, 4 TDs. And he's got a really accurate deep ball. Really impressed with him despite the fact that he had the injury. LSU.
To that Chase guy?
What
was his name?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
The receivers are just ridiculous.
Oh, they're all receivers.
I thought the MVP of the game was Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, that guy.
The running back, right?
Yeah.
He had some nifty moves out there.
Oh,
Yeah. He had over 100 yards, but I think that was really interesting to me is his, just power on those third downs, because there was one play where they threw it out to the sideline, and he had probably 6 yards, and he had a Bama defender literally right in front of him, and he, pushed through him, managed to stay in bounds, and then that was the play that they converted the third down, went down, and then they got up by 12. And I was like, wow, this guy literally put the team on his back, right? And then it was really interesting because they thought they had won the game, and he's on the sidelines, and he's crying, right? And his coach is, holding him, and it was like, okay, wow, this is a great moment. And then Bama throws that crazy pass at the end, and now it's a 5-point game again.
Yeah, exactly.
They had the onside kick, and then they had to convert another third down, and then he comes back on the field and runs through 3 guys for an 8-yard run, and then
wild.
they won the game. It was that he was the MVP for me. I think he was the guy, but yeah.
Oh man, dude, that was just a wild game. That was old school LSU Bama. They kept hyping up that game from 8 years ago, right? But this was better than that, I thought.
More exciting, more offense.
More offense, yeah, for sure. But no, I'm with you. That was awesome.
You think he's gonna win the Heisman?
Burrow?
I think it's safe to lose at this point.
Yeah, that game definitely helped them. Didn't help Tua, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I hate to sound resolved already, but I'm looking forward to seeing that LSU Ohio State game.
Yeah, that should be a fun game to watch.
That's kind of a matchup that's perfect. It's two offenses which are very similar.
Mm-hmm. I would say though, if they do put Bama at 4,
you think they will this week?
I'm not saying I don't know what the playoff committee would think, but honestly, I thought that in a rematch with Tua not having some time
it's
to kind of
annoying
rehab
that
his
there's
foot.
that asterisk there.
Yeah,
because he was hurt.
Yeah, I thought their second half performance was pretty dominant.
Yeah,
they looked really good. I would like to kind of see that matchup again and see. I think after that game, now the committee's going to be going number one, this is going to be a huge game for views, right? People would tune into another rematch.
Oh, yeah. How many points did LSU have in the second half? 13 or something.
I think that's because they were up 33, 13 and a half.
And Alabama had 28.
46, 41.
Yeah, so, they kind of put the foot down second half, defense-wise.
Yeah.
Kind of like Michigan, Penn State.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really interesting to me, because you look back at these teams, in 2011 they played, and the game was 6-9 during the regular season, then Bama won 21-0. But the talk that year was all defense. And it's really interesting to see within just this decade that it seems like high-powered offense is the way to go. And it was pretty evident to me in that game, just thinking about this as a Michigan fan, number one, you need a quarterback who's mobile and can throw a deep ball and is really the stud on the team. Number two, you need the ability to spread the ball out on offense. And 3, you need top 5 recruiting classes. You need 2 of your classes at least to have top 5 or top 10 or something.
Talent,
yeah.
Talent.
So
what you're saying is we need to put Joe Milton in.
what I'm saying is we do need some better quarterback performance if we want to win a national title. We do need to keep this offense. I know some people are probably hesitant, but I think we need to keep this offense for next year. See how it plays out. We need to keep evolving with this offense. This is the offense. We got to go with it. Period.
Actually, I want to take that and kind of maneuver a little bit because there's some people out there saying Jim Harbaugh's got a hold of the offense. Blah 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 blah. He's taking hold. That's why we're running the ball like we were last year. But I've heard also some other things saying well, actually, this is very similar in terms of the run game, how Alabama ran the ball last year. So it's very possible that this is Josh Gaddis, still calling, but just recognizing where our talents are right now and calling run plays. What do you guys think about that?
I hope it's Gaddis. Otherwise, what are we paying him for?
Yeah.
I'm on the same page with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to call bold prediction for next year. If Michigan were to win out, so if all their wide receivers stay, right? This class that would be, excuse me, this class is the number at a 4 was ranked number 4 in the recruiting class. All the seniors that will be returning for next year, right? Those guys, if they go out and go undefeated, Dylan McCaffrey could win the Heisman. I'm calling it.
Whoa.
That's my bold prediction for next year.
Yeah, that is a bold
Dylan McCaffrey.
Early prediction.
It's way too early. Way too early prediction. Dylan McCaffrey wins the Heisman. Michigan goes undefeated. That's if that.
But Nico's not going to come back.
Why not?
Nico's good. Dude.
There's no good reason for him to come back.
I've seen early draft predictions for Nico.
Him, like going first round.
I saw third.
I saw third.
I've seen a lot. I've heard about a lot of teams that are interested in him. I mean, you can see what he does. I mean, he can jump up and get the ball. I mean, I don't know. I'd be shocked if he came back. I think Tariq could come back to boost his stock because he's been hurt so much. DPJ's just a genius. He's gonna, trying to get into medical school or whatever it is. I think he's coming back, and then we've got Ronnie. So I mean, I'd love if Nico came back, but I'd be shocked if he did.
Yeah,
I just don't think there's any.
Yeah, I think definitely
upside for him to stay.
DPJ and Tariq are not, should not go. Yeah. Are not? I don't know. But, Nico, I think it's kind of up in the air. Just because, you know how guys are. I mean, they might get a draft grade, projection, and they go I don't like that. I'm going to come back and try to do something else. Yeah. Think Shea, right? And that definitely didn't go well for him.
No.
Maybe this is me just, talking out of my butt, but I heard somewhere that the likelihood of you succeeding in the NFL because you returned for your senior year, it's creates some sort of your probability of succeeding in the NFL goes up. I don't know. I see Nico, I think he's a great player, but would you take him in the first round? No. You got Bama wide receivers and LSU. You got Jefferson.
Yeah.
You got Judy. You got. I can't remember his name. There's so many good Bama wide receivers that I would take before.
Devontae Smith, right? Speedy dude.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Is Waddle a sophomore or something? Or?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
I'm not sure, but I mean, I would like to see them all come back, and I think that's when you could actually. I don't know. My hopes are. I'm thinking too far in the future.
I was gonna say, I feel like if it's something we were talking about, he's got to kind of match himself up with everybody in the class, then he's got to look at next year too, who else is out there. But I just don't see his stock improving any more than it's at right now.
Unless the offense dramatically changed.
Right, but does that improve his stock, though?
I think it does.
Unless he gets a little bit faster or something. I just don't know.
I think it does because... sorry, Cam.
Yeah, no, I think it would because it would give him more chance to, show off his talents than he has right now, right? You see the occasional pass to Nico, occasional jump ball. But if it was, think LSU, where now he's, we're throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, that's that many more chances for him to catch the ball in space, make
show
plays.
Some other stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Create separation, all that kind of stuff.
So now a lot of that is out of his hands, too, right? So he's got to take that into account where he's maybe I've shown off everything I got. Let me go to the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you never know. But, yeah, that's a good point that you bring up. Nate, you got anything else? LSU, Bama? You ready for the Lions to take Najee Harris round 2?
Lions already got plenty of backs. I told myself with the Lions I'd commit for watching 8 games, and it
started off
it's done.
Strong.
Yeah,
it's done.
You've satisfied that requirement.
Yeah. I love the Lions, but I mean, you're past the midway mark, and you're not 500. Good luck.
Not even close to 500.
Not even
3-6, 3-5.
3-5-1 now.
Yeah.
So it's season's done.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of things to look forward to in the future. But it seems like Matt Stafford, when something's never right with that team. Matt Stafford's always pretty good, and then the line will just suck. And then this year, the offensive line isn't terrible. They can run the ball. They can do a couple things. Now the defense just
can't do nothing.
It sucks, dude. The defense, dude? They're 30th or 20th? It's just 28th. They're terrible. Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Back to Michigan football. Yeah.
No, but what was the other game you want to talk about?
Ohio State, man. Let's talk about it.
Oh, I don't even want. want to talk about that.
They're
a lot of the same that we've been saying all season.
Yeah,
They're just dominant.
They're dominant. They don't even need Chase, right? They don't need Chase.
They don't need
I think the end of the season it'll become more of a, it'll show that they could, he could probably help out in some situations, but there's the team that can just plug the next guy in and they're fine. I mean, it's not Chase Young isn't the one scoring 70 points on offense. Against the teams that they're playing for the rest of the season, they'll be fine without him. Like Michigan again, I think in a realistic size we'll get blown out, but it's a rivalry game, and I think there's a chance that anything can happen.
Yeah.
So, but what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I heard there's a possibility of him getting a reduction to 2 games
instead of 4.
Instead of 4 because the way he's cooperated with the NCAA. My personal opinion, I'm excited that he won't play in that game possibly.
Oh, yeah.
But I also think that he's getting screwed over, and this is classic
100%.
NCAA, right?
Yeah, I'm with
100% good.
I'm ridiculous. Thank God he's not playing against us. But
NCAA is awful.
This is BS.
The loan he had is $700.
You're gonna find
come
4
on.
games.
Yeah.
That guy's gonna make how much money in the NFL?
Yeah. How many games was Urban suspended for covering for a wife beater?
Yeah, it was
two,
3.
Two or 3.
Yeah, they spent him 3, and then Chase Young takes $700 to fly his girlfriend out to the Rose Bowl. Oh yeah, 4 games.
NCAA needs to figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Just making himself like a joke.
Yeah. So Ohio State was pretty dominant. I kind of want to talk about Mark D'Antonio a little bit because to me this is all coming back to him, and all I think about is when there was the little brother game where Mike Hart made those comments, and then Mark D'Antonio said the pride comes before the fall. Now it's looking like he could possibly lose his job. I don't know. The AD has said that's just all crap. He's going to be the coach next year. But the fan base is pissed off for sure. If Michigan wins next week, there's going to be a lot of talk because now he's in his last 48 games he was he's 25-23 or something. It's pretty bad for where their expectation was at. What are your kind of thoughts? Do you think?
Well, what was the record? Do we know what their record was after the 3-9 season?
Last year?
Was that last year?
I thought 3-9 was 2017.
2 years ago.
And last year...
Because they were 3-9 when in 2016.
Oh, okay.
2017. Do we know what their record was?
I'm not sure.
Maybe 7-5 or something. I'm taking a guess. I'd have to look.
Because I just think Mark D'Antonio... Michigan State's a basketball school. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't see them getting rid of D'Antonio. With what he's done there...
Yeah.
I mean, what? He's got a Rose Bowl win, right?
He's got 2 Big Ten
He's been to the college football playoff. He had one down year. He had a down year 3 years ago, and then he came back. I got to figure out what their record was that year.
Yeah, no,
because if he has 2 bad years in a row, maybe they get rid of him. But I think he's somebody that will leave the program before he gets fired.
Yeah, we've kind of been talking about programs and how they've looked over our lifespan, right? And Ohio State has been dominant. Michigan has been decent and had peaks and whatever. But MSU is one of those programs that has been pretty middle of the road. Kind of got cute 2013 to 2016, and then they're kind of falling back into they're kind of normal 8 wins, 9 wins, which is not bad. Mm-hmm. That's that's where us as Michigan fans are at right now, and we're trying to figure out how to take that next step. So MSU fans are suffering where they had great success and they're kind of falling back into that that valley for a little bit.
So Michigan State was 10-3 the year after 3-9.
Oh, see, there you go.
So they could come out next year and be 10-3.
Yeah.
10-2. 11, whatever. I don't see D'Antonio going anywhere. People were calling for Nick Saban's job yesterday after they lost to LSU. That's just how ridiculous fan bases are in general.
They're spoiled,
I get
man.
D'Antonio's they're having a bad year at Spartan. But
you know what?
They're not going to get rid of D'Antonio.
I'm just going to...
If basketball was tanking, maybe they get rid of D'Antonio. But basketball's fine, and nobody's going to care about football once it's over.
We got to take a step back because you guys remember maybe a few weeks ago when we were Jim Harbaugh's got to get this figured out.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
We were just like these.
100%. 100%.
Oh, man.
It's just people, us as fans. Everybody out there, It's just awful. We're awful people.
I looked at Jim Harbaugh's like recruiting classes and just like overall performance, and I know he hasn't won a lot of big games, but I mean, if you look at like where the program was, like I mean, it was pretty bad.
We're in a great position.
Yeah.
We just need Brady Hoke
It's
to
all need to
recruit.
relax.
Yeah.
We just need Brady Hoke to be recruiting coordinator, and then Jim Harbaugh to be coach.
I mean, if you think about it, right, Jim Harbaugh's year that they had the loss against Iowa and the JT was short play with the terrible refs, still bitter about that.
Yeah.
That was a great year for them, and I looked back at the recruiting class for the players for Jabril Peppers, like those guys who were juniors, ranked 31st. That was the recruiting class.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like Chase Winovich, like all those guys. They were bad. And Jim Harbaugh took that team and made them good. Same thing with Brady Hoke's his first year, right? 10-3.
Rich guys, yeah.
Yeah.
We're 11. I think we're 11-2.
Well,
Yeah,
not Brady
11.
Hoke's. I'm talking about Jim Harbaugh's first year where he took Brady Hoke's
Oh, I thought you were
guys.
going to say Brady
Oh,
Hoke
yeah.
after he took over for Rich Rod.
2015.
Yeah.
With the Jake Rudak and whatnot. Yeah. That's
But, I mean, honestly, you go, well, it's easy for us as Michigan fans to somehow think about the years prior and hold Michigan up and the brand as some sort of deity that, oh, it has to be great. And, like, you're totally not thinking about, okay, it's a football program at the end of the day. Just because you have the name and all that stuff, you still got to go out there and play the games. Right? Nobody, I mean...
Whenever people throw out that Clemson stat that it took Dabo like 7 years to really get him rolling, what do you think about that? Are you like, you know what, I'll hang in here with Jim for 7 years to finally hit that like 13-0?
I mean, we have to. What is the upside of us getting rid of him so we can start over again?
Yeah, that's
and then go through 4 years or like we're not satisfied and get a new guy and it just keeps happening. So we have to ride it out. It's just
same thing with like Notre Dame fans and Brian Kelly. It's the same way. They're like, oh, we're not going to win a championship. Well, like
join a conference then.
Yeah, like this year they have number one, join a conference. They still have a better recruiting class in Michigan this year. Coming up, it's like I think they're like 6 or 7 or something. Like I mean, they're a top 10 recruiting class. People just gotta like you gotta
calm down.
Calm down. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, my goal is that the team. My hope is that the team will win as many games they can this year. If they lose to Ohio State, like I'm fine with it. I'm fine. I understand. They're just so good. They're just so good. Like I'm not going to be upset if they lose that game. I would prefer that they keep it close and not have a blowout like last year. But I mean, look at it's just the way that here's what happened. Michigan lost to Appalachian State in 2007. Right? They had lost 5 straight games to Ohio State back in the early 2000s, right? The program was trajectorying downward, right? And then guess what happened? They got Rich Rod, and then there was a lot of backstabbing from the 3-and-out book, as you probably know. Players leaving. You had a guy, Zach Bourne, who went from Michigan to Ohio State. Who makes that move? He was going to be a senior, and he transferred to Ohio State. So Ohio State's program was trajectorying upward. Michigan's going downward. With Rich Rod, just things were not working. Couldn't get some solid recruiting classes, and then you had Brady Hoke, who doesn't wear a headset, right? What kind of coach doesn't wear a headset? Are you kidding me? That's like a pilot just going like, I'm just gonna go up there. I'm not gonna talk to anybody. It doesn't make any sense, right? And so you have a coach who had pretty much the program and people in the back office going behind him with Rich Rod. Then you had Brady Hoke, who just obviously probably wasn't that great of a coach, and his recruiting classes weren't that good. And then now we finally have something where we're trying to get back on the upward trend. I'm actually pretty optimistic and pretty positive. If they can end the season on another 10-3 note, maybe next year can be the year. Maybe I'm going off too. I'm already starting to look to next year.
Yeah.
You look like
love it.
You remind me of like Charlie in Always Sunny, where he's got all the strings, and then this guy over here was doing this, and this guy. Like, oh man, Nate's on it today.
But I mean,
you're right. You got it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think that Michigan can beat Ohio State this year, and you're going to be upset that Jim Harbaugh's not getting things together.
Yeah, it's like what is your solution then? Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Fire Jim Harbaugh and hire who?
Who? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's always my question. Who do you want? Like, Florida State is in a good conundrum right now, right? Who are you going to hire to repair that program? They are in some, deep stuff, right? I mean,
it's just a hype train.
Yeah.
And people get on the train and they start going, "Whoa, let's get this guy. He played, he did this and that," and then people just going, "We're going to be really good," and then. And then you just take a fart again, right? And then you get pissed, and then you start going out. That guy sucks. He sucked, and you go, that guy over there, and then you just start going up, right? Like, let's just wait this out as fans. Let's not hold Michigan up to some sort of deity, like it's some unstoppable program. It's a football team, and it goes through its phases, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. Wow, if you're listening and you're not on the Harbaugh train, you better be now, because that was straight facts. No, Nate, you're right.
Dude, this 26 years as a fan, man.
It's just a bubbled up.
The fire in my belly.
You just spat it all out on the mic. Yeah, no, that's good. Good stuff. Yeah, to kind of, we swerved off.
Yeah,
Let's
sorry.
swerve back to some of the games last weekend. In terms of the MSU stuff, I would be curious to ask, like, an MSU fan, like, what's the outlook? Like, you're talking about the coaches and all that stuff. Like, do you actually want to fire D'Antonio? Like, because we're all saying, like, he's actually been really good. Are you honestly like, fire D'Antonio? Are you honestly like, is your season just done now? And if it is, like, what do you expect next year? Like, I have questions for somebody who would be an MSU fan that I don't think we're equipped to answer. I don't know what you guys think, though.
Their fan base has pretty much been crying for, like, some changes to their offense, because that's been the one piece that seems to, like, not click as well.
Mm-hmm.
They've similar story.
It sounds like exactly like Michigan. I think for State, if you're a State fan, your hope is that they actually make some changes on the offensive side. And if they don't make the changes and it continues to be this kind of trend, then, I don't know. But I think he is also... It's also difficult... I'm going to say this. When Michigan sucks, they look better, right? And they've won a lot of close games. Times where I think State is overrated. And somehow, like... the Ohio State game where they won and then went to the Big Ten championship game. Guess what happened? They won off of a muff punt against Michigan, and then they played Ohio State, and it was like in the rain, and Ohio State was just not ready. They just seem like a program to me, watching them over the past 10 years, that has gotten pretty lucky in some close games. A couple of those games go differently. They're a different team. Their program's a different outcome. So to
Totally
me,
different decade.
Totally different decade.
Yeah.
So, when you look at Michigan, being as crappy as they were, right, that's been the program in the state that has controlled everything. And when they go down, Michigan State goes up, right? And so I think some of their success has been because Michigan has been so shitty.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
not so shitty, but just not
to their standard.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, that's probably true. Jack, you got any thoughts on that?
I'm with you as far as, I think they need to make some changes on their offense, because it seems like their defense is always kind of like right there with Michigan. They're, they have a good defense. They're tops in the country.
They always seem to have a good D.
But it's like you don't hear anything about the offense.
Yeah.
Because they clearly are not doing, what they need them to do. So, I don't know. I think D'Antonio sticks around. I don't think it'd be a good idea for them to get rid of him, because who are you going to get?
Yeah.
Especially now that PJ Fleck signed that extension with Minnesota. I don't know. I'm sure they're all just looking forward to basketball season. That's just,
Yeah.
Hey, they're already 0-1, right?
They are, yeah.
The D'Antonio thing kind of reminds me a little bit of John Beeline type stuff, because we're kind of like reversed in basketball and football, right? There was that year where Michigan basketball had like a down year, and people were like, "Fire Beeline!" Like it's like it could be like that, yeah. So,
no, yeah. In terms of outlook for this coming weekend and the big game coming up for us, right? What are you guys looking forward to? Any predictions?
Looking forward to dominance, man.
I mean, you think this offense is going to be able to fly against this defense? what's your vibe there?
I hope so. I mean, I'm going to say the same thing I've said every week for the past couple weeks on this podcast. Quick outs to our receivers. Get them the ball. Offensive line, keep doing what you're doing. Let's run the ball. And just, show why we've got better athletes than they do. And just get it to our athletes.
Because you know what's going to happen, right? We're going to show up for this game, and we're going to start running the ball. And we're going to try to establish the line of scrimmage. And one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to run the ball, run, 2 yards per carry, maybe win by a touchdown. Or we're going to run very well and try to run the ball to the outside and, 5 yards per carry, couple big runs, and then Shea's going to be a game manager, throw a couple play action passes to Nico or DPJ, and we're going to win by 2 touchdowns. That's pretty much how...
If Shea can just manage the game, I think...
Harbaugh ball goes.
Hey, it's fine with me, as long as we get a win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just really want them to win the game. I don't care if it's by 3 points or 30 points, as long as they win the game.
It's a win.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because I look at Michigan State and they showed up the first half against Illinois. Sometimes it kind of makes me go like, I don't know what team we're going to see on Saturday.
Yeah.
My thought is I really don't like bye weeks sometimes because I think, you play a week or you have a week of practice, you play a game. Week of practice, play a game. You're in that game mode, and then all of a sudden, you're taken right out.
Yeah, mental thing. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like Michigan right now has like some absurd amount of injuries that they need to like get their players back.
Well, I think that's what Jim Harbaugh was saying on Inside Michigan Football. He was saying like this bye week is about recuperating people's bodies because people get banged up, right? Mm-hmm. Especially this late in the season. But he said, I want to recuperate bodies, but I want to keep everybody's mental state like focused, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a challenge. Yeah. So I hope they can kind of do that. And I think he said they were kind of stepping back in terms of like hitting that practice and stuff like that, but still trying to keep, hey, this next game is our biggest game, which, I mean, I hope it works. I don't know. We'll see on Saturday, right?
Yeah. To me, it comes down to, is Michigan State going to show up? And for Michigan, is Shea going to play well enough to not cause any turnovers or just keep things intact? I think if Shea plays okay, they'll win the game.
Yeah.
I think their defense will show up. I think their defense has done a great job the last couple of weeks stopping the run, making some big sacks, and I think they'll be able to stop the run against Michigan State.
So and we've been solid at home.
So. Yeah, and I think this is a good game for Shea to build some more confidence against a bad Michigan State team. If he has a big game, that could really help us out moving forward towards Indiana and Ohio State.
Yeah, huge. That would be huge. Just to play some devil's advocate. Like you were saying, Michigan State always manages to be kind of lucky. Always manages to come into some game that they shouldn't even be competing in and just, sprinkle their magic dust on it, and all of a sudden you flash it on Comcast and it's like, dude, this game's like 27-29 with 30 seconds left and Michigan State is, on the 2. What happened, right? So, I mean, it's a rivalry game. Stuff can happen. Yeah,
Yeah, that was weird because I looked over to the State game when I was watching the Bama game, and I was like, oh, okay, that game's done. Yeah. I'm not even going to look at the score. And then my mom texted me. She's like, Michigan State lost. I was like, what? What? How?
It's just a strange program, man. So,
what do you think about Brandon Peters, man? Jack, what do you think about him?
Go Blue. It's Michigan quarterback, baby.
Go Blue.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I'll go back to, what was it, 2017? We were, 8-5? And, right? 2017?
Yes.
Brandon Peters was playing quarterback?
Yep.
Before he got hurt, if he wouldn't have got hurt against Wisconsin, I think we would have won that game. Mm-hmm. And what was another one? It was something, because if he wasn't hurt, he would have played against Ohio State. And that was a close game, too. We could have won that game instead of having John O'Corn in there.
Yeah.
I think he's a solid quarterback.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, dude.
I mean, that could have been something where he could have still been quarterback in Michigan right now if he never got hurt that season and ended up,
Yeah, you're right.
Doing something crazy.
You're right.
And that was Harbaugh's first quarterback recruit. I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I'm not saying bring back Peters.
I'm not either. I'm not at all.
But-
not at all. But
Yeah,
I think,
he's better than he kind of looked when he was playing for us.
Yes.
He didn't really start a ton of games, right, at Michigan. It was only a couple
just that year.
years.
It was just that season. And then he got hurt, and then, Oklahoma's back in.
It is interesting to think Shea was the number 1 dual threat quarterback and the number 3 player in his class, and he really hasn't kind of like lived up to the hype.
I mean, at Ole Miss, he looked
He
good.
was slinging it.
But
he was throwing
just
to
kind of hasn't.
He was throwing to DK Metcalf.
Yeah, like some big dudes out there.
Yeah.
But, I think he had probably a lot more confidence back then, too. Where I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm just saying it, but I just feel like he doesn't have as much confidence.
Yeah.
He also had that knee injury, too.
Yeah.
That could be huge.
Busted up his knee. And I wonder if he's still dealing with that oblique injury at all. And maybe this
That's a
bye
good
week
point,
is, something to help him kind of like fully recover over that if he hasn't already.
Yeah, that's a good point. I totally forgot about
Interested to see how everybody looks this weekend.
Yeah.
What do you guys? I know we're going on here for a while. What are your like top? If you were in the committee, who would your teams be? Like top 5,
1 to 5,
or 1 to 6. Let's go 1 to 6.
1 to 6. LSU would be 1.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State would be number 2. Gotta put Clemson, I guess, at number 3. I guess, Bama number 4 kind of makes sense. Oregon, who'll be number 6? Fuck, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I don't even know.
Hey, I think that's not bad.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull it up to see
Or
kind
Georgia.
of what they have.
Maybe
now.
Georgia's in there.
I think that actually isn't Minnesota at 6.
They're undefeated.
Georgia played pretty bad against South Carolina, who lost to App State last night.
App State crushed the Carolina teams.
Yeah, and South
Look at
Carolina
Clemson.
beat Georgia. I know it's hard to the comparison week to week, but Notre Dame, you look at them, they almost beat Georgia too. So Minnesota, in my mind, maybe they could throw down with the Bulldogs and I don't know.
Maybe.
The AP has Minnesota at number 7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Jump 10 spots.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think that top 6: LSU, Ohio State, Clemson. I would put Alabama, and then where it gets tough. I'm going Oklahoma, Minnesota.
Oklahoma?
I like Oklahoma.
I like Oklahoma too, but they almost lost to Iowa State. This
They
past
almost
weekend.
lost.
They could have.
won by
Iowa
1.
State,
They won by 1 point.
they won by 1. Iowa State came back, went for a 2-point conversion to win the game. The dude it was like literally right here, but they had 2 defenders on him, picked it off.
I like Oklahoma.
Whoa.
I think that
Sudden.
Iowa State game, Kirk Herbstreit was saying this is going to be a close game. Like, Oklahoma's going to win, but it might be by like 2 or 3. Right? So, I think that's kind of like one of those weird rivalry games that's kind of brewed.
Iowa State, there's a lot
recently.
of guys tough, yeah.
So, I'm not as surprised. But I think, as the season kind of comes to a close and as it starts really ramping up, I think that Oklahoma team could be like a force.
But also, you think after losing to Kansas State, they would not want that to happen again. And the defense let up a lot of points again.
That's true.
I just think if that's happening again twice in one season, you can't put that team in the playoff.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
that's
don't
why-
think you should. I don't think they deserve it. Anymore.
why
As much as
they're-
I would love to see Jalen Hurts and go up against Bama, I just don't think they deserve it at this point.
Yeah, that's why they're outside the top 4 for me.
Yeah.
What's
right.
yours, Nate?
Honestly, just from, I guess, eye tests or whatever, I'd probably say OSU number 1, LSU number 2. I'd probably say Alabama at 3 and Clemson at 4. Sorry, but my hope is that it ends up being Ohio State versus Oregon and LSU versus Clemson. I'd like to see Alabama. I'd like
Rematch.
to. Oklahoma wins out. Alabama wins out, but Alabama doesn't get in because they lost and because their schedule is pretty bad. And I'd like to see the Jalen rematch with Oklahoma, which I think they would do because it's obvious, right? They both have 1 loss.
Yeah.
There's obviously some sort of tune into kind of thing, right?
They could sell that.
They could sell that, right, as
Seems like a New Year's 6 game.
New Year's 6 game. right? And then I think Oregon, having the one loss at the beginning of the season, and they lost off of, in like the last probably 30 seconds or something. It was pretty insane game.
It's like to still win their conference.
They look pretty dominant against USC, and they look pretty good. I don't like to see this two teams in SEC all the time, or two SEC teams in. Mix it up. Who gives a shit? Just stop doing it.
They need to expand it, and they need to do conference champion from each Power 5, and then 3
at large.
At large, one of them maybe
an independent,
a group of 5, and then 2 at large.
Okay, yeah,
the best group of 5 and 2 at large.
I heard Joel Klatt say something about he would like Michigan and Ohio State to play 3 games before the season ends, so that if there was a conference championship, that they could match up or something without being a repeat.
But we'd have to get rid of the East and West Conference, though.
Yeah.
Or put them in separate conferences. Yeah. Which I think they should. Just don't even do the sides. Do like the Big 12 does. 2 best teams in the conference.
I like that, yeah.
I think every conference should do that.
I would like for it to be one non-FBS team, right? That's where you start the season with,
and then you conference.
Then you do a home and home with another conference, and then you do 9 games where it's all conference play. I almost think just get rid of the conference championship. Who cares? I don't think it provides anything extra. For the Big Ten, you've been getting Ohio State versus Nebraska. Fuck that.
Well, that's why if you get rid of the East and West, then it's the 2 best teams. So it could be Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin. It'd be the 2 best teams, so it's not some BS game like you did last year.
Yeah.
Right? Because then it's a more, exciting matchup. Yeah. And it could be a way for, one of those teams to get back into the ranks, and it's just exciting. So if they get rid of the East and West, I think it's good to have conference title games. If not, it's just annoying to me.
What do you think, Kalen? Do you think that the schedule should be... How do you think it should kind of be? Or do you think they should go to 8 or keep it at 4?
Yeah, I think they definitely need to expand the playoff just because there's more teams that I think could compete in that system and potentially win. I always think back to that UCF team. They were good. And
they were good that year, and they got no shot.
Yeah, and it was they beat Auburn. Who cares? You know? And then they were claiming themselves as national champs. Right. And I'm
you can't do that, but then you also should get a shot.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm it's got to be expanded. I say just make it 8 teams. I say do Jim Harbaugh's thing that he came up with. You guys see that? Where he came up with this. Some reporter was like, Jim, what do you think about college football playoff? And he's like, oh, I got a thing typed up about it. Reached in his jacket pocket. Fucking already had it prepped. I'm like, what? This guy is a nut, man.
What was it?
And then he had, I can't remember, but it was almost like NFL style, where it was it was something like where you're saying group of 5 and 2 at large.
Yeah.
But then the group of 5 was group of 5 / independent. So then it was a spot for Notre Dame, really.
Notre Dame, Army, whatever. But also, it's like having March Madness and you have just the Final Four.
Right.
What's the fun in that? March Madness is fun to see the teams all year round and, or for that whole month really kind of develop. We're around 64 where, we have 4 teams instead of 64. It's more fun, more money, whatever. Yeah. If you got a shortened season, do it.
Yeah. I think
might as well see a lot of the best teams there.
Yeah. There's stuff they can do, but they have to tune in to Blue by 90 for the real opinions. Right?
That's right.
All right. I think we're going to wrap it up here, guys. So check us out on YouTube. We're on pretty much all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave us a comment if you have any input. And share, subscribe, all that good stuff. So thanks for listening, and go Blue.
Go Blue. Beat State.
Yeah, beat State.